This is a great day, and you look beautiful. I welcome you to the 112th annual commencement of the Iliff School of Theology. Some of us are gathered here at St. Andrew United Methodist Church, and some of us are joining by live stream. This is richly symbolic, because today we are reminded of the richness and expansiveness of our community. So wherever you are, we are together today. This is Iliff's 125th anniversary year. And you should know that the cornerstone for Iliff Hall was set in place 125 years ago today. And we don't know this for certain, but very probably, as those kind of events go, it was being put in place within minutes of the beginning of this ceremony. So let us remember where we have come from today. Bishop Henry White Warren, husband of Elizabeth Iliff Warren, was the speaker. And together, those two fulfilled the dream they shared with the late John Wesley Iliff, Elizabeth's first husband, to create a theological school in the West. We were brought into being in the place where the plains meet the mountains, an ancient place of tectonic upheaval. The irony has never escaped our notice. I think of it every day when I drive to work. For from the beginning, all generations who have passed through this place have worked for justice and chosen to walk closer to the historic upheavals of their era, to be effective healers in those places. In the midst of it all, Iliff has sought to articulate clear hope amidst injustice, to bring compassion to the hated and disenfranchised, to instill its students with a deep human capacity to love and to act with courage. I congratulate each of you who have completed your degree and who will be in a few moments walking across this platform. We celebrate this wonderful time with you. I also congratulate the faculty, the staff, the board of trustees of the Iliff community. This day literally represents a collective work and is one that we all look forward to celebrating. Everything we as an institution hope for is summed up on this day. It is what everyone related to this school works toward. For our graduates are our most significant gift to the world. I bring special welcome to the family and friends who have traveled to this commencement, who are joining your loved one online, and who have been traveling along with your loved one through this academic journey. It is no small feat. I got to be a spouse of a seminarian once. So we are grateful for your presence today and your support throughout. So we have sojourned around the sun one more time and find ourselves once again facing another new beginning. We come to this day feeling deep gratitude for our achievements and for the possibilities that are expressed in the imaginings and the vision of the work yet to be done. So may this commencement be both a time of celebrating accomplishment and and the experience of a healthy restlessness to get at the work of our vocations. May we be fully awake, fully alive to the meaning of this moment. Welcome, welcome. It's my privilege to introduce to you our commencement speaker. It is with joy that I introduce you to our commencement speaker, the Reverend Dr. Susan Henry Crow. Susan is the General Secretary of the General Board of Church and Society of the United Methodist Church. She has served in this post since 2014. I am grateful to have known Susan for many years, and particularly during the time when we each had similar jobs as deans of our respective university chapels. Susan was at Canon Chapel at Emory University while I served another university chapel. But together we were part of an association of our field who would gather every year. And I speak for all of the colleagues in the association, and I do, Susan. We gained a great deal from her seasoned leadership, her experience, her wisdom, and she's got great humor. As the leader of the General Board of Church and Society, Susan has the task of calling, and it's not an easy one, folks, of calling the denomination to claim its theological identity to action for social justice. That's why I wanted her to be here today. To this end, she is a teacher, a relationship builder, and I think most importantly, a prophetic witness to the church. Last week in my travels, I had the opportunity to spend some significant time with someone who works directly with her at the agency. And it was shared with me that Susan courageously encourages the church to challenge normative assumptions and bring advancement in the areas of civil human rights, economic justice, health and wholeness, peace with justice, women and children. She is a skilled coalition builder in a denomination that is struggling with its own sense of unity. I'm glad she is in this position. As Dean of the Chapel and Religious Life at Emory, Susan conducted a ministry to and with diverse constituencies of 12,000 students and 2,400 faculty members. She focused on interfaith and ecumenical work, mentoring and vocational formation of a new generation for social justice ministries and stewardship and fundraising, and wrote the policy that LGBT members of the community may be married at Canon Chapel. For 16 years, Susan served as a member of the United Methodist Judicial Council. We all have been hearing the headlines from that body, and she led it with great dexterity from 2008 to 2012. She is an ordained elder and continues to be a member of the South Carolina Annual Conference. Of the many positions she has held within the conference, she has also been the director of the Conference Council on Ministries. She holds a Master of Divinity degree from Candler School of Theology at Emory and Doctor of Divinity degrees from Wolford College, LaGrange College. She has served on the Board of Trustees at Claflin University, Columbia College, and Santiago College. And in 2000, we got to celebrate with her in our association when she was named Chaplain of the Year by the General Board of Higher Education and Ministry. Susan, we are grateful that you are here and your presence is with us, and we look forward to your words. So welcome to the Iliff School of Theology on this great day. We are always grateful for the hospitality of the St. Andrew United Methodist Church. They are spectacular, and I'm told they love doing this too. We thank the congregation members and its leadership for allowing us to use this wonderful sanctuary for our commencement ceremony. I am now delighted to introduce to you the Reverend Mark Feldmeyer, Senior Pastor of St. Andrew's. Reverend Feldmeyer is in his third year here at St. Andrew, coming most recently from a pastorate in San Diego, California. He is a native Southern Californian. My wife is a native Southern Californian, so I know something about native Southern Californians, Mark. He holds a BA in Religious Studies from the University of California, Riverside, and a Master of Divinity degree from the Claremont School of Theology. Reverend Feldmeyer, please come bring greetings on behalf of the St. Andrew community.
Friends of the Iliff community, it's a joy and privilege to welcome you to St. Andrew. We hope that today you will feel that same generous welcome that reflects the deep and generous commitment to affirming and welcoming all people in an inclusive and open church. We are grateful for our continued relationship with Iliff, for Dr. Wolf's incredible and fine leadership, for the number of clergy and professors who have taught classes and seminars here at St. Andrew. And we're especially grateful for the continued commitment that Iliff has for sending leaders into that intersection where practical faith meets the common good. And so welcome to St. Andrew. Blessings upon your gathering and upon each of you graduates, and blessings upon all of us as we go back out into the world to find that place where God leads us with grace and with truth. Blessings upon all of you. Thank you.
Please join me in the responsive prayer in your bulletin. O source of every good and perfect gift, who has gathered us from many traditions and places, we remember all who willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly, have helped us make the journey to this time of celebration. lover of all, who knows and remembers every single one. We remember all the ancestors and their descendants, whose land we now inhabit. We remember those who were dehumanized by forced labor to establish this state and nation. We join your eternal recognition of their humanity and gifts beyond our knowing. We remember those who prepared the way with us in mind, founders with a vision, faithful teachers and graduates of the past who left us a tradition of scholarship and ministry. We remember trustees, churches, and donors who shouldered the burden of supporting and maintaining our school. We remember pastors and chaplains, congregations and individuals who shared their wisdom and gave us encouragement. We remember classmates and teachers who challenged us and widened our vision of what life means and faith requires. We remember administrators and support staff whose steady efforts made it possible for us to prepare for our future work. And we remember with special affection friends and family, partners and children who bore with us through times of struggle, who helped us persist in reaching for our dream and claiming what we are called to be. Hallelujah. Amen.
This is a special moment and comes as an action of the board that is shared at the times of commencement. The Susan Schlesman Duncan Award for Outstanding Board Leadership. As president and on behalf of the Iliff School of Theology Board of Trustees, I am pleased to present the Susan Schlesman Duncan Award for Outstanding Board Leadership to this year's recipient, Jim Wilkins. Jim, will you come please and stand with us? Susan Duncan is a well-known philanthropist, community leader, and honorary Iliff trustee. Following in her parents' footsteps, Susan served on Iliff's board for 28 years. As a donor, Susan has generously given to endowed scholarship funds and capital and programmatic funds. She established endowed scholarship and fellowship funds and a residence hall in her family's name and established the Gerald L. Schlesman Professorship in Methodist Studies. Named in her honor, the Susan Schlesman Duncan Award for Outstanding Board Leadership is awarded to an Iliff trustee who epitomizes Susan's legacy of dedication, loyalty, leadership, generosity, commitment, and service. Jim Wilkins joined the board in 2009. Since joining the board, he has served on most of the board committees. If there is a committee, Jim has served on it. And Jim served as chair of the board from 2011 to 2013. In addition to sharing his time and many talents, Jim has generously supported Iliff students through our scholarship program and has participated in our capital improvements and annual fund. Jim is a tireless ambassador for our Iliff students and mission. Please join me in recognizing Jim Wilkins for his outstanding board leadership.
courageous theological imagination. We hear the church is dead.
We say, oh no, the death of the church is extremely exaggerated.
We hear we are not religious but spiritual, and we must adapt.
We say we are both, and we must creatively have them come alive.
We hear the corporate world is taking over and destroying our churches and organizations.
We say we are courageous, as defined by not being deterred, but by being brave.
I have never been known as one who is brave. I have been scared at times.
But we are called to bravery, even when we are scared or unsure. We are called to be the movers and the shakers. I am not creative enough.
But we have learned and have been stretched and challenged to think outside the box. I don't have all the answers.
But, my friends, we have developed a courageous imagination that fuels our passions and creates unlimited possibilities. That
This
is what we are
called
called
to do. We are courageous. We are authentic. We are beloved. We shall not be moved.
I didn't think I would be a minister. I didn't think they would let me. I was a woman.
I didn't think I would be a minister. I didn't think they would let me. I was queer.
I didn't think I would be a minister. I didn't think they would let me. I was too radical.
I didn't think I would be a minister. I didn't think they would let me. I was too much like Thomas.
And at the same time, I was deeply committed to the head and to the heart, to engaging the internal and the external, to finding the balance between extremes.
I was deeply committed to radical love, healing open wounds through a divine welcome.
I was deeply committed to accountability, to my communities holding each other responsible for the ways we participate in broken systems.
I was deeply committed to activism, fighting against the evil I felt, experienced, and witnessed in the world around me.
All this time, I've been testifying to a faith that holds together knowledge and mystery, personal growth and social action. Is this not ministry? Despite my valuing of books and experience both?
All this time, I've been fighting against suffering created by unjust intentional systems and organizing with the oppressed for righteous warfare. Is this not ministry, despite my rage and defiance?
I've been preaching the gospel that holds us accountable for the sins and injustices of the world. Is this not ministry, despite my gender or my convictions?
I've been inviting all those I meet, the marginalized, the lonely, the hurting, the injured, into the radical divine love available to them and inside of them. Is this not ministry, despite who I am and who I love? We are ministers. We shall not be moved. Just like tree planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We are courageous. We are authentic. We are beloved. And we shall not be moved.
As a new student, walking into the front door of the Iliff School of Theology, I was
Confident.
confident, willing,
Ambitious.
excited,
Motivated.
curious,
Courageous.
courageous, courageous.
And throughout my journey as a student at the Iliff School of Theology, I became
Bewildered,
confused,
amazed,
amazed,
amazed, jolted,
broken,
terrified,
disassembled,
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 saddened,
challenged,
challenged, challenged. As I complete my journey at Iliff, I am
confident,
confident, confident, willing,
ambitious,
excited,
motivated,
assured,
compassionate,
empathetic,
realistic,
energetic,
enthusiastic,
passionate,
passionate.
passionate.
And now, as we go out together, we are
Diverse,
complex,
unique,
unique,
unique, special,
courageous,
queer,
straight,
distinct,
dynamic,
multifaceted,
reformed,
unified,
spiritual,
extraordinary,
extraordinary,
extraordinary, and whole.
whole.
We are like all others. We are like some others.
and
We are like no other. We are courageous. We are authentic. We are beloved.
and
We shall not be moved.
Go,
Go now
go forth,
to the heights of the sky.
and the depths of the sea.
We are called to honor all that has come before by creating something new.
Something that, as far as we know, does not yet exist.
We are to go forth to bring and proclaim a different reality.
A reality that calls into question all of our present arrangements.
Go forth.
Go forth.
As we move into discovery,
With open hearts, we can see anew
with roots and wings, we find the strength,
to build a new reality
a new reality.
where love abounds.
Go forth.
Go now.
As we go,
Help us live authentically our beautiful selves,
let us commit to justice,
to community,
to equality,
to love.
love. We are beloved.
We're gonna keep on until we find it. There is more love somewhere. Here,
Now, all go forth, Go now.
As we go,
Let us remember we are beloved.
there is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. We're gonna keep on until we find it. There is more love somewhere.
We are courageous. We are authentic. We are beloved. We shall not be moved.
The Lord said to Abram, "Go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you. And all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you." Abram went forth as the Lord had commanded him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. Abram took his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot, and all the wealth that they had amassed, and the persons that they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. The Lord said, "Go forth from your native land to the land that I will show you."
Mr. President and dear friend, Madam President of the Trustees, distinguished faculty, Mr. Wilkins, congratulations, other distinguished guests, those of you who are receiving PhDs today, whose titles of your dissertation I have read over, it's quite impressive, and those of you who are receiving master's degrees. It is an honor to be with you. This is very special for me. It's my 40th anniversary this week of my own ordination. So to share it with you this week is very special. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for receiving me. And thank you for letting me share this glorious day with you. At the age of 75, Killian MacDonald, a theologian, scholar of Catholic decrees and papal encyclicals and episcopal pronouncements, and a monk at St. John's Abbey, decided he wanted to become a poet. He now lives a monastic life in Collegeville and decided he wanted to devote the rest of his life writing poetry. He has a very fine collection of poems and a little book entitled, "Lord, Swift You Are Not." I love all of his poems, but this one is my favorite. He says in this poem, "Talk about imperious, without a, may I presume, no previous contact, no letter of introduction, this unknown God issues edicts. This is not a conversation. Am I a nobody to receive decrees from one whose name I do not know? I have worshiped my own God. To you I have addressed no prayers. But quick, like sudden fire in the desert, I hear, go. At 75, am I supposed to scuttle my life and place my arthritic bones upon the road to some mumbled nowhere? Let me get this straight. I will be brief. I summarize. In 10 generations since the flood, you have spoken to no one. And now, like thunder on a clear day, you give commands. Pull up my tent, desert the graves of my ancestors, leave Haram for a country you do not name, there to be a stranger. Today, this day, is not only about commencing upon completing your course of study and receiving your degree, but it is also about the journey that lies ahead, much like that journey of Abram and Sarah. The invitation today is a little strange. It is an invitation into an unknown, unnamed world where you will be a stranger. I offer a few thoughts from life in ministry, and as a mom and a pastor, and one who loves to read and listen to music, and have a favorite little book called The Art of Pilgrimage. in your life, there will be sites, S-I-T-E-S, and sightings, S-I-G-H-T-I-N-G-S. You will go to a place, a parish perhaps, a job, into a graduate program. Those will be sites or places. And you will be very tempted to value the site by the locale or the size or the vibrancy or the convenience or not having to drive in traffic. If it is a congregation, you will hear about vital congregations more than you ever want to. And you will hear about being a vibrant place to attract people. But that is really not the issue. The issue is, what will be the sightings? What will you really let yourself see? Will you see the children living in poverty next door to the church? Lonely widows and widowers, or people who never had a partner? Single moms that need a break, or single dads that might not know what to do, or many people suffering with addiction, or young men with no hope bound for prison, and systems that are horribly broken and greedy and remarkably uncommitted to restorative justice. This theological education of yours has helped articulate, as your classmates have said, have helped articulate a new worldview. Ministry will not be as much about the place as it will be about what you see. Years ago, there was a story in the Times, Irish Times, about a man from Connemara in Ireland who was arrested for being in a car accident. He says, there were plenty of onlookers, but no witnesses. We can go many places and do many things and see very little. If you go to graduate school, which I hope some of you are, you will read for 2 years with great uncertainty. It will be hard, and you will not have enough clarity to suit you. That's true, right? And if you are to be a pastor, you will touch many people's lives, but you will miss a lot. You will not always hear underneath what people are trying to tell you, because it is too painful for them to say, or they're too frightened to really share their pain. And you will have to decide whether to be an onlooker or a witness. You will have to hold a lot of pain and sorrow if you are to become a witness to their lives. Like Sarah and Abraham, there are going to be many journeys, but letting the sacred find you is a different matter. The sacred will be there, but you will have to be watchful. It will not be what you expect. You will be tempted to allow the insignificant to become significant. I want to say that again. You will allow the insignificant to become significant. You will be tempted to be drawn into small worlds and to forget to keep an eye out for the whole world. You will know those children on the border of the ones who are trafficked, but not have the time to think about the systems that caused the trafficking. You will be tempted to give into your ambition. We all have it. You will want more. You will want to please your pastor parish relations committee or your dissertation advisor or your new dean. You will need to cast your sights both to the global world as well as deep into the local community. And if you neglect either, the people and the community and the world will suffer. The brokenness of people is tied to a larger world of hurt and dysfunction. When someone cannot get the health care that she needs, you will need to be an advocate for her. Understanding and finding joy in the global and the local is now your new work. The sacred will be there, but you will have to be watchful. Try to be a witness and not just an onlooker. Become a witness to all that is sacred. And then, as has been said so beautifully, and I felt like I really didn't need to get up and say anything after the class presentation, but you are set apart for the work of love and justice. You are not set apart because you are special. You're sort of special, but you're not that special. Not so long ago, I attended to the installation of Rabbi Jonah Pesner in Washington, who is the executive of the Reform Action Council, which is a very active group in Washington that does much the same that GBCS does. And he noted in his installation remarks that he was set apart for more responsibility for love and for justice. You are set apart for more responsibility for the work of love and justice. For those of you who are pursuing word, sacrament, and order, you have a deep calling to love and justice. And for those of you who are set apart for service and justice, you have a deep calling. When my daughter, a few years ago, graduated from college, she had some really interesting jobs. They were good places to work. She worked at a Unitarian retreat center. She worked in a map shop. She worked in a law bookstore, and as a host in an upscale restaurant, but nowhere that she really loved, nor felt like she was really contributing. After a couple of years of this, she came to me with a question about discovering what it was that she really wanted to do with her life. She has a remarkable intellect and curiosity and an amazingly courageous and strong will. She had it all of her life. She is a marvelous writer, and as a small child, she played teacher. Of course, I was not about to answer her question. Every parent knows that. But I was sympathetic and challenging, and I said to her finally, after she talked a long time, "You know, baby girl, I did not send you to college for that extraordinary education you have, of which you enjoyed almost every moment, for you now to take a job away from someone who really needs it. Working in bookstores and restaurants and camps, a lot of people can do and need to do. Their livelihood is dependent on a job that you are taking. Your education is for you to contribute to something that needs doing, that only you can do." She is a teacher. She went on to graduate school and now holds 2 degrees. and she teaches 9th through 12th graders in the southern tip of Appalachia. Nobody can do what she's doing. And now you are faced with the calling of love and justice and doing only what you can do. We live in a world in the United States and are contributing to a much larger world where war, not diplomacy, is on the front lines. We live in a world where aggression, not reconciliation, is the order of the day. We live in a world where racism and xenophobia and heterosexism plague our culture and are rising in the world. And we have a special calling to be engaged in these issues. So we are set apart for the work of love and justice. I am aware in my next paragraph that I have now gone to meddling, but I think it is meddling in God's business. We must all direct our relationships and attention to systems of poverty that are created and most harmful to people who are vulnerable. Almost half of the world, which is over 3 billion people, live on less than $2.50 a day. And at least 80% of humanity lives on less than $10 a day. And more than 1 billion children live in poverty. The root causes of poverty must be addressed in this country and in the countries around the world. And mission is not enough. Soup kitchens help people from starving, but do not alleviate the causes of hunger. The causes of poverty and the stigma of poverty calls out to us. There's a wonderful quote by Pope Francis as he inspires us actually to think about this. He says, "Let us go forth to offer everyone the life of Jesus Christ. I prefer a church which is bruised and hurting and dirty because it has been out on the streets, rather than a church which is unhealthy from being confined and clinging to its own security. I do not want a church concerned with being at the center, which then ends by being caught in a web of obsessions and procedures. More than the fear of going astray, my hope is that we will be moved by the fear of remaining shut up within the structures which give us a false sense of security, within harsh judges, within habits which make us feel safe, while at our door people are starving, and Jesus does not tire of saying to us, 'Give them something to eat.'" In my own life and calling, I never knew what was ahead. Like those who did the presentation after college, I knew I wanted to study theology, but it was a long time ago and there were not so many women studying theology. And then I went to seminary, and I did not know what to do because there were not very many women ordained. But I called a pastor friend, and I said, "I'm graduating and I don't know what to do." And he said, "Well, maybe I could find you a couple little churches." And I said, "I'm not really looking for a couple of churches. I'm just calling to talk." Of course, he worked it out so I could have a couple of little churches. And they were very conservative in the southern tip of Appalachia, one of them in the town that Lindsey Graham is now the senator of South Carolina from. And I was in that church for a couple of years, and then I went on to serve for 4 years in 2 churches in a community that was formerly a textile community, where I knew the church's positions on labor were wonderful and strong, but I hadn't really needed to attend to those. And one day when I was visiting my parishioners in the mill, one of them was standing in ankle-deep water, and I said, "Mr. Smith, what happened in the mill today?" And he said, "Nothing happened today." And I said, "You're standing in water and running a huge machine." And he said, "Oh, that's every day." And I went back to my little office and I looked up the social creed and the social principles, and I thought, the church has something to say about this. And then I had an appointment, my 3rd appointment in South Carolina. And that was in a community that were really, honest to goodness, Strom Thurmond Republicans. And I went there and they did not want a woman. They didn't really know me, but they really didn't want a woman. But I served and we started to like each other, and occasionally we had sort of signs of loving each other. And one day, it was a particularly precious lunch with the chair of the Pastor-Parish Relations Committee, and he was, I would say, not a very emotive man. And after lunch, he walked me to the car and he said, "You know, Susan, had you not come to be with us, little girls would never be able to think about being a pastor." And it was the first time that I thought, this might be my calling. I had not really been looking for a call. I had to tell the Board of Ordained Ministries some things that were true and honest. But a calling was a little more complicated. And I was mostly just living life with people that I was learning to love and preaching some good sermons and some that were very green, shall we say, and visiting sick people and trying to help them think a little bit more about a larger world than themselves. And that affirmation of ministry first came from the church, when I was just taking one step at a time and really not turning away. And then there were the congregations that weren't too interested in having a woman, but who stuck with their fears long enough to let me be their pastor. And then that day that Mark Sheely spoke those words, after I had served churches for 9 years, there was that voice of confirmation, my life in ministry. For some of you, it might happen that way, and I just want you to know that. So now, back to where we started. Abram and Sarah, and here is the rest of the poem. God of the wilderness, from 2 desiccated lumps, from 2 parched prunes, your promise, all peoples of the earth will be blessed in me. You come late, Lord, very late, but my camels leave in the morning. Blessings on you. Be on your way. Amen.
Pray with me. thou. Deep breath. Release. Make space. Let go of words or let the words sink in deeply. Be present. You are present. Lost in the busyness of all the tasks, time just being with you. Yet you've been there, drawing us into things greater than ourselves, transforming our very selves, giving us courage, inspiring imagination, exploding some theological ideas, and deepening others. Courageous theological imagination. Deep down, it's about you. And yet it's also been about each one of us, transforming our time and priorities, our thinking, our skills, transforming legacies of injustice, too many to name, transforming our very sense of self, one relationship, one insight at a time. Deep breath. Release. Everything changes today. Almost everything. You, us, we choose to remain together. We choose courageous theological imagination. We choose to transform some of the legacy we receive. Deep breath. Release. Most of all, Holy One, thank you. Thank you for this calling. Thank you for calling our names. We hear the camels leave in the morning. Amen.
Good morning on this glorious day. Established in 1982, with the layering of the cornerstone on this very day, June 8th. The Iliff School of Theology is a freestanding, United Methodist-related theological school, legally authorized to grant master's and doctoral degrees under the authority of the Board of Trustees. As a board, we celebrate scholarly achievement, service to the church and society, and the successful completion of Iliff's academic programs. Upon the recommendation of the faculty, the Board of Trustees has voted to award the degrees Master of Arts in Pastoral and Spiritual Care, Masters of Arts in Social Justice and Ethics, Master of Theological Studies, Masters of Divinity, and Doctor of Philosophy in Religious and Theological Studies, respectively, upon the persons here listed.
This is my favorite part today. Are you ready? Camels are leaving. On recommendation of the faculty and by vote of the Board of Trustees of the Iliff School of Theology, I hereby confer the degrees as listed in the program with all the rights, powers, and privileges pertaining thereto. In token of, you will be given the appropriate hood and diploma.
I have the privilege of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Pastoral and Spiritual Care, Vicky L. Martinez. Grant Marylander, in absentia. Teresa Watson Nelson, with distinction. Catherine M. Warren. I have the privilege of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Social Justice and Ethics. Heather Bridie Harris, with distinction. Deborah Sinyard Stinnett, with distinction. Sarah Ray Vanass, with distinction. I have the privilege of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Theological Studies. Mary Celeste Callahan with distinction. Jill Trauring Fleischman with distinction. Casey Joseph Fleming Flynn with distinction. Thomas John Gableman Jr. with distinction in absentia. Kyle Bradley Hudson in absentia. Sarah Beth O'Brien. Jesse Cole Perkins in absentia. Kyle Benton Ramsey Sumner with distinction. Brandon James Robertson. I have the privilege of presenting the candidates for the degree Master of Divinity. John Patrick Eugene Angiulo. Laura Catherine Barnett with distinction. Charla Woodward Belinsky with distinction. Michelle Brissett. Adama Brown. Susan Denise Camp with distinction. Shay Lynn Champ Correll in absentia. Maury O. Clay. Diane Elise DeAngelo. Ramona Christine Embry. Catherine Lee Flahive with distinction. Kimberly Gold. Mark Anthony Hart in absentia. Angela K. Haysacker with distinction. Ann L. Henderson. Bonnie Lee Howe with distinction. Brianna Ray Elene in absentia. Sandra Jimenez. Dorcia Erlene Johnson with distinction. Stephen Russell Jones with distinction. Tyler Ray Joyner in absentia. Roger Allen King with distinction. Daniel Paul Robert Krause with distinction. Christopher Watkins Lamb with distinction. Gregory Wade Leslie in absentia. Daniel Benjamin Lilly. Amy Underhill Lithgow with distinction. Kenneth Lyle McGarry. Benjamin McIntyre McCurdy Wilsey. Dora Moss Devan. Selena Aileen Naumoff. Stephanie Ragsdale Parrott with distinction. Katie Coran Pearson. Laura Jo Prang in absentia. Cody Saram Ram. Daryl Emmett Siruggs with distinction. Denise Leslie Shannon with distinction. Katie Ellen Shedlock with distinction in absentia. Wellen A. Ward II. Marisa Julia Werner with distinction. I have the privilege of presenting the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Each of the following candidates will have his or her dissertation title read. Please hold your applause until I've finished reading the dissertation titles. Kenneth Jeter, in absentia, dissertation title, Missed Appropriations, Uncovering Heidegger's Debt to Kierkegaard in Being and Time. Elizabeth Ryan Hall, dissertation title, Maybe Jesus Was Suicidal Too, a qualitative inquiry into religion and spirituality in suicide attempts. Linda Jane Hansen, dissertation title, Aztec Human Sacrifice as Entertainment? The Physio-Psychosocial Rewards of Aztec Sacrificial Celebrations. Hannah Christine Adams Ingram, dissertation title, The Myth of the Saving Power of Education, a Practical Theological Approach. Timothy O'Neill Inman, dissertation title, Revolution in Religious Language, the Relevance of Julia Kristeva's Theory of Significance for Theology. Andriette D. Jordan Fields, dissertation title, Why Does the Caged Bird Sing? A phenomenological analysis of the African American clergywoman and her plight in black churches, an ethical dilemma. Emily Kam, in absentia, dissertation title, Catholic Girls All Grown Up, a Practical Theological Exploration of Sexuality Formation in Young Adult Women. Scott Ronald Moore, dissertation title, A Conviction of Texts Not Seen, Perceiving Exodus as the Generative Text of Hebrews. Gil Rosenberg, dissertation title, Ancestral Queerness, Normativity and Deviance in the Abraham and Sarah Narratives. Jesse Workman, in absentia, dissertation title, Phenomenology and Blindness, Merleau-Ponty, Levinas, and an Alternative Metaphysical Vision. Please join me in congratulating all of our graduates. Please be seated. Before Eric and I deliver the charge to the graduates, just a little bit of context for the families and all of our other guests today. The graduates will recognize the source from which we have based our charge, but in this 125th year of the school's anniversary, and also the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's Beyond Vietnam speech, and a very special commemorative event that Iliff hosted in New York City on April 4th, 2017, and another event that Iliff will be sponsoring in October, there were three particular words among the many themes and the many words of wisdom in that speech that touched and moved Eric and I quite profoundly. And we think you'll agree, it's a very relevant message even 50 years later. So thank you for the honor that you have bestowed upon Eric and myself to deliver this charge to you. And showtime.
50 years ago, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. told us, in words written by Dr. Vincent Harding, that a time comes when silence is betrayal.
50 years ago, they both told us that a time comes when silence is betrayal, when violence is carried out in our name because we say nothing.
They said that a time comes when silence is betrayal, when lives are shattered because they are not our lives, and we say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when misogyny courses through the veins of our body politic because out of our privilege and complacency, we say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when our ecclesial bodies declare some of us incompatible with Christian teaching and the rest of us say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when black and brown bodies are broken and killed and we choose the option to say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when the bigotry of empty nationalism pervades our politics and those of us on the inside say nothing.
There comes a time when silence is betrayal, when the earth is polluted and the water is fouled, and in the name of economic opportunity and profits, we say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when the rights of native peoples to control their lands are trampled, when the rights of peoples to control their own bodies are curtailed, and we say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when the rights of children to flourish are threatened, when society fails to recognize the rights of all persons not to die, when cures are too expensive, and we say nothing.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when our churches and our NGOs and our schools accept an ideology of profit, when they embrace a racist status quo, when by doing or saying nothing they say yes to misogyny and homophobia and violence and war, when they give their stamp of approval to all that stands in the way of love.
A time comes when silence is betrayal, when our state houses and our courthouses stand aside and say that there is nothing we could have done, when we read our history and fail to see that this history explains our present.
A time comes when silence is betrayal.
A time comes when silence is betrayal.
If silence is betrayal, then speech is solidarity. If silence is betrayal, then our voices are tools of resistance. If silence is betrayal, then our sermons are the vehicles of our engagement, then our keyboards are the sites of our no to oppression. If silence is betrayal, then go forth to speak. Then go forth to teach, go forth to write, go forth to preach, go forth to learn, to march, to discover, to stand, go forth to advocate, go forth to expose, go forth to uphold and to undermine and to raise up your voices and cry out and go forth to not be moved, but do not be silent. If silence is betrayal, then never let your voice go unused. If silence is betrayal, then never let injustice flourish while you stand by and say nothing. Maybe there was a time when you could tell yourself that you couldn't speak, that you had nothing to say, that no one would listen, but that time is in the past. You have trained yourself up for this. You have come to find the tools you need for the dismantling of systems of oppression. Here you are at this waypoint on your journey, and now you have everything that you need to do the right thing, to find the will of God, to find your own path, to pursue your calling, choose whatever language you want. But you who are here at this stop on your journey, do not stay silent. There comes a time when silence is betrayal, and now, being who you are, where you are, you cannot stay silent anymore. You cannot be quiet ever again. Go forth to speak, to shout, to preach, to stand, to sit, to march, to join hands, to resist. Go forth, but do not be silent.
Go forth indeed, but do not be silent, and never forget, nor fail to listen to that unknowing knowing, most holy, indivisible, unquenchable, deeper silence that resides in each one of you. This deeper silence is the voice of the one who called you forth for the many works of compassion and leadership and social justice that lies ahead for each of you. This is that sweetest silence whose voice is a comforting whisper, a divine kiss upon your forehead, a voice whose loving presence, located in that magical space somewhere between your mind and your heart, warms your heart strangely, calling you forth, anointing you with tongues of fire, reminding you and all of us gathered here this day that you, dear graduates, go forth to speak words of healing and transformation to the world. The Word of God calls you forth to speak, to shout, to preach, to teach, to sit, to march, to join hands, and resist everything and everyone who oppresses and denies the humanity of your brothers and sisters. Iliff School of Theology, class of 2017, this is the other side of silence, whose prophetic voice we ask you to honor and cultivate with courageous theological imagination. In a world of fake news and in the midst of an empire of lies, do not be moved, for indeed there comes a time when silence is betrayal. So go forth, ignite the human spirit, and free the captives from the shame of not being treated with love and dignity for who they are or for whom they love. Do not be silent. Blessings upon each of you, your families, and your work to come. Thank you very much.
We are building up a new world. We are building up a new world. We are building up a new world. Builders must persist. Don't get
As this joyful occasion reaches its culmination and as we prepare to depart, it is my deep honor to offer you this closing blessing. Go forth now and do which calls you to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence. May you be blessed and guided, giving meaning and purpose to your work and bringing joy and new life to the people you meet. Everything you need for the journey you have within you. Go forth knowing that you are the spiritual movement that is rooted in empowerment, recovery, reconciliation, healing, and personal transformation. Go forth in song, in dance, in laughter, and in celebration. May you walk in peace and courage in the next stage and phase of your journey, and may God's blessing be with you now and always. Amen. Hallelujah. Shalom. Salam. Ashe. Namaste.